of awareness for poo. Like she was literally like dressed as a poo, and I just...
You're listening to You OK Home with Miss Greater Manchester Galaxy. Miss Greater Manchester Galaxy supports the Trussell Trust, the Christie's Charity and Mind Mental Health UK. I'm also sponsored by Bursting Wardrobes, which is a pre-loved clothing store. They're based in Ashton and Marcusfield, and you can also check out their website, which is in the bio.
Hello everybody and welcome back to You OK Home with Miss Greater Manchester Galaxy. My name's Paige and here we are to talk all things mental health, body positivity, self-care and everything and anything in between. Just a disclaimer, I am not a mental health professional, I'm a mental health advocate, which basically means I look to support in any way that I can, and I also look to inspire and give people a voice when they feel like that they can't be heard. So this is an exciting episode. We've got the current Miss Atlantic on with us, so welcome to the podcast, Alice.
Hi everybody, it's really good to be here. I always love to talk about mental health wherever I can.
Oh, amazing. I'm so excited to have you on. So this episode we're going to be talking about more about self-care really, and how you kind of look after yourself on the lead up to something quite big. So if you just want to kind of introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, so as Paige has said, I am the reigning Miss Atlantic, and I've been Miss Atlantic for about 3 months, I think it is now, and it's just been a bit of a whirlwind. But as you can probably appreciate, if any other pageant girls are watching, it obviously is a lot to prepare for a pageant, and I am no stranger to men in 29. I'm quite lucky in the sense that I've recovered from my depression, but my anxiety is still very prevalent, and especially around times of pressure where I'm applying pressure to myself, it obviously does get worse. So yeah, self-care is really important to me, like in all aspects, day to day, but especially before a big event. And I did quite a lot before Atlantic to prepare myself. I'm the type of person where I just like to be like super organized, and that really helps me to feel relaxed and less anxious. If I feel like I've done everything that I can, like ticked every box, then I'll go in feeling a lot more relaxed than if I'll just wing it. I'm not that type of person at all to wing anything. So yeah, my preparations are quite thorough. Like I didn't have that long to prepare for like Atlantic, for example. I think I had about 6 or 7 months maybe.
Yeah, I was just going to ask how long was you a finalist for? So because like I become a finalist for Miss Galaxy in January this year, but last year I only had, I think it was 4 months. So this year I've got a lot longer, which is a lot better for me.
Yeah, definitely. I think it works different for different people. Like some people are just really naturally good at just winging things out there, and like that's how they work. But I think for someone like me, the longer I've got to prepare for something, the better. And the thing for Atlantic was I'd just come out of doing Supermodel England, and that's quite an intense competition. It's a bit more it's not full pageant, I wouldn't say. It's got that kind of like more model element to it, and I'd done that for a couple of years, and I knew that I wanted to move on to something else. And I obviously, you'll know yourself being into pageants, like when the dates for things coming up, and I was thinking, Atlantic's in April, like, and I'd love to compete again soon, but obviously, it's like not much time like compared to what I normally have. But I thought, actually, on reflection, I've just done all of this work for Supermodel England. A lot of that's transferable to doing this competition as well. So yeah, I've got work to do, but I'm actually already like maybe 60% of the way there. So I just felt like, just go for it. What's the worst that could happen? Even if the outcome isn't exactly what you wanted, even if I place top 5, like that would be really good, and I could go about the year after, so that's the kind of attitude that I took. So yeah, I feel like in the future, like obviously I've got my reigning year, but in the future, if I did want to compete again, like I probably would be a bit more open to having less time, just because I know that I did it well as well, because I knew I had a list of things that I wanted to do and achieve in order to be ready for the competition. So yeah, that's just a bit of an overview of me, I guess.
Yeah, amazing. So so you had 6 or 7 months to prepare. How did you? So when you first got announced as a finalist for Miss Atlantic, what was the first thing you did when you found out? Did you kind of get the title and then just kind of put it to the side a little bit, or was it straight away you started preparing and whatnot?
Straight away, I was literally like, I got like a notebook. I was literally like, right, what did I think? On balance, what did I think I needed to improve on from my last competition? Aside from obviously the differences between each competition, like actually, right, what in each walk did I need to improve on? outfit wise, what did I feel I needed more to feel more confident in terms of that. And obviously interview was a big one as well, because the previous competition I competed in hadn't necessarily had like a face-to-face interview. And I knew that was a massive area that I needed to really brush up on, because I'd not done an interview properly for pageants since 2018, so it'd been like a fair few years. So I just got on with Harriet straight away, the crown coach, and just was like doing loads of sessions with her, and that helped me like incredibly as well. So I think it's also like, it is self-motivation and it is planning, but it's also leaning on other people as well, where they've got that expertise to help you out.
And I think the one thing with leading up to any big event, not just pageants, but kind of any big event, is a lot of time people think like, oh, am I going to be on my own in this? Like, is anybody going to be able to, am I going to be able to lean on anybody to help me? But especially in a community like pageants, like there's so many people that you can lean on for help. And if you're struggling with a certain area, obviously there are people there, there are resources there for the help. And I think that's something that a lot of people do tend to kind of forget, as I say, not just in pageants, but in anything in life when it comes to like job interviews or anything like that. Like there is always resources there. We don't always have to struggle like kind of ourselves. It is okay to kind of ask for help.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting you say about job interviews. I talk about that a lot, like about how pageant skills are so easily transferable into kind of a job situation. And I mean, a lot of my job confidence, like I'm in the fashion career, which is obviously quite intense and very competitive. And I had no confidence when I first started, and compared to now, and I do, a lot of it is down to experience. I've got more experience in the industry now. However, part of it definitely came from pageants as well. Obviously doing pageant interview, talking about yourself is a skill that particularly the British, we don't particularly like doing very much. We don't like to talk about ourselves and
we get a bit shy about like talking about like how good we actually are, but in reality, like I've realized over the last year that we can actually like really boast about ourselves. Like it's not a big-headed thing to do like a lot of British people tend to think.
I just think now I can talk about myself, and I feel like I can articulate in a way in which I engage people rather than them thinking, oh gosh, she loves herself kind of vibe. But yeah, like I do think that the skills are so easily transferable, and that's something that I absolutely love. And it always gives you something interesting to talk about when I go to a new job, and it's like, give us an interesting fact about you, and I'm like, oh well, in my spare time I do pageants.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like I've had a lot of jobs. I've had 27 jobs, so as you can imagine, I've done a lot of interviews. So that really has kind of, I used to be really bad at interviews, but now it's really, really shaped me into not just interviews for pageants, but for like interviews for other things that I do as well. Like obviously I do quite a bit on the radio, newspapers, obviously my podcast. So yeah, it does. You do need to prepare for things like that as well, and people think that you do have to go in, you do have to sometimes go into an interview blind, but you don't. Like you can prepare for things like that as well, and we don't always think about our mental health when it does come to things like preparing and things like that, because things like interviews and stuff can be so daunting, especially if you're on a panel with like, for my current job, I had 3 people interviewing me, and I've never had that before. So it was really, really daunting having like these 3 people looking at me, asking me like questions one after another. I felt like I was on Dragon's Den. And I didn't prepare myself for that. So we do need to like think about and prepare ourselves for these kind of things as well.
Yeah, definitely. And that's so important as well. Like, I think in terms of, sorry if you can hear my dog barking.
It's okay.
It's always a occupational hazard of a live stream, isn't it? I feel like obviously pageant interviews are like different in the sense of, like you say, it's very rare you usually get a job interview where you've got a panel of people, but you do have that in a pageant interview. And I think that, you know, when I tell people that that's what it's like, they're like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't know what to say, I'd be on the spot. And it's like, but think about how much that prepares you for like other areas of life, because when you're one-on-one with somebody, it feels like nothing in comparison to that. And like from an anxiety point of view, like, you know, before an interview, like especially if you want something really bad, regardless of whether it's job or pageant, like I'm the type of person where I get more anxious because I'm anxious, because I really want it, and I want it so much that I'm anxious. It's just like such a like vicious circle, isn't it? And I just think like, when I look at like I'm starting a new job in a couple of months, and when I interviewed for that, I couldn't believe like how different my attitude was versus like when I think about my first interview trying to get into my career. You know, I literally like might as well got my knees and begged in that first interview because I was so desperate for it. Please give me the job. But now I'm a bit more like, do you know what, this is me, and if like I'm not the right fit for your role, then that's fine. I'll, you know, something else will come up, kind of thing. And I think that exudes, doesn't it, through like your body confidence and stuff as well.
Definitely. And things like body language and things like that, like you can have like a really confident voice, but if your body language is all closed up like this, then you know you're not portraying yourself as like this strong, confident person that we should all be. So yeah, there are things like that you need to prepare for as well. So you mentioned earlier on, obviously you've suffered with depression and anxiety and stuff. When it comes to preparing for something quite big, like obviously like Miss Atlantic, do you find that it can kind of get quite bad in the preparation, or do you feel like it actually helps you with your mental health?
I think it probably helps me more than anything, because I find that pageants is like, it is my hobby, because whenever you're at a pageant and they ask what your hobby is, I'm like, this is my hobby. This is literally it. It's like, what on-stage talent do you have? I don't have an on-stage talent. Like, pageants is my hobby. But yeah, like I find it helps me more than anything, because when I'm like in a stressful environment, like at work and things, or you know, if you've got like family issues or whatever, you can always like throw yourself into pageants, and it's like going to a bit of a different world almost, and like it's just so rewarding as well. And I know that whatever I'm doing with it, I feel like it's contributing to something, and that makes me feel really good. And I think actually, like when I started my platform at the back end of last year, I was really worried about it kind of triggering a lot of things for me, like in terms of because my angle on mental health is from a bereavement point of view, and I thought, oh, maybe it's going to trigger like quite a lot of upset for me, but actually it's been completely the opposite. Like talking about it more has made me feel better. And I think it's also like the really nice messages that I get, not just about my predicament, but where people are coming to me in the pageant community now and being like, I know you talk openly about bereavement, I've gone through this, like what would you suggest, like have you got any advice? And it's just really nice to have those open conversations, I think, as well. Really, it helps you, but it's helping someone else at the same time.
Exactly. And there is that thing, isn't there, where like you get a sense of achievement by feeling like, even if you only help one people, if that doesn't make sense, one person, even if you only help one person, like that just makes you feel so much better about yourself. Like, for example, just from uploading my podcast last week, I had maybe 15 people messaging me saying like that I'd inspired them in one way or another. I obviously won't go into detail, and just by that made me feel, even if it's only them 15 people that will listen to my podcast, it is more than worth it. So yeah, by speaking out and talking about your own experiences and stuff, it really does help your mental health. Like that's one reason why I actually do pageants, because for one, it keeps my mind busy, and because you've got a focus, so you're not kind of thinking about other things going on, like because your brain's so focused on the pageant or the task that you've got in hand. It does help with your mental health massively. And another thing, obviously, with the helping people along the side of it as well, that's like the main reasons why I do pageants. Like I don't do them to win them, I do them to just basically to help me and to help others, really.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I totally agree. That's kind of my angle. And I always think, it was like with Atlantic, I knew that when I walked away from the competition that weekend, if I didn't have the crown, then that was okay, because I'd put everything into it and I'd put my heart and soul in, so I couldn't have given any more. But obviously it is lovely to walk away with the crown, because it's just like an acknowledgement of like the hard work that you've put in, isn't it? So I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't absolutely love being Miss Atlantic, because I do. I love it so much. But yeah, it's one of those, I think you've got to have your purpose with pageants, because at the end of the day, your chances of winning are much slimmer, aren't they, realistically? So you've got to get something out of it. And I think sometimes people, with the crown chase, for example, then you're never going to get your true purpose out of it.
Although I was actually just going to come on to that then. I was going to say, obviously, how many pageants have you done in the past?
Quite a few. I mean, I was saying the other day, someone was like, how did you get into pageants, etc. And I did my first one when I was like 16, and I'm 28 now, but I've dipped it in and out over like the space of 10 years or so. But I've done, I would say maybe I bet about 8. I'm going to go with 8. That's
And
not
how
a
many
big
of you?
number, but
How
I'll
many
sit
of
and
you
count.
won? And
How many have I won? Not even half, but and that's such over a long space of time. But it doesn't matter, do you know what I mean? Like, that's not the point. The point is it's what it's given me, and like when I look at kind of, okay, I've collected 2 crowns, but I've collected so many memories. I've collected so many like good experiences. It's helped my mental health. I've got so many friends to show for it. It's just more. It's more than just the crown, isn't it?
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say. Well, you've just answered my question. I was going to say, what would your advice be to somebody who is disheartened by not winning the crown? But you've just answered that question. So
I think it's a hard one. Like, you're obviously going to be disheartened, like, because you wouldn't be there if you didn't want to win it. But I think the more that you do that, it's taken me, like, I would say in the last couple of years, like the penny really dropped for me, and I really started to think about it differently. And I think when that happens, you think, oh right, I get it now. Like, I know what I need to do, I know what it's about, and I know the lessons it's kind of teaching me. And I know a lot of people don't like the saying, but I'm a strong believer in, like, everything happens for a reason. And like, everyone's got a path. And like, when I think, like, I thought I wanted the Supermodel England title more than anything, but as soon as I came to Atlantic, like, everything just clicked, and I just felt like, I just enjoyed it so much more. I just felt really like it spoke to me as a sister, and like on that weekend, I just absolutely loved it. And I just felt like different. Like, I don't know how to describe it at the final, like, versus other competitions that I've done. I just almost felt like I was in this really good space, like this really confident space. Like, nothing could have knocked me at all. Like, I just felt like really, really good. And I think that's when you get that sweet spot, I guess. When you find it.
And it's like that with anything, isn't it? Like with jobs, friend circles, anything like that. Like, you feel like that you're in the right place, but then you find something else and you think, you know what? No, this is where I need to be. Like, this is the right thing for me. And some people can, like, for example, somebody could keep on going for the same job over and over and over again and not get the job position that they want. But then they go for, say, a similar job, but not the job that they thought they were going to go for, and they realize that's where they need to be. That's their niche. That's what they thrive in, and things like that. And it's the same with absolutely anything in the world. And I never get disheartened about not getting a job interview or not winning a pageant or anything like that, because you just think, like, I am where I need to be. And I agree with you. Everything does happen for a reason. I believe in karma and fate and all of that. So I do think that absolutely everything happens for a reason, and what will be will be.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that, if I just sit back, like, everything will work out, because it won't. Like, obviously I've got to put something in, like, you do have to, but like, I do think that you often think that you want certain things for yourself, and this applies to, like, all areas of life. Like, I've had it before with relationships. You thought you wanted something in a relationship more than anything, and then on the other side of that, when you're away from it, you're like, actually, no, I didn't want that. Like, and I can't believe I did think that I did want that.
And
it's same with jobs, isn't it, and stuff.
Because when you're in the moment, you feel like, this is definitely right, and then just one little thing can happen, and you go, you know what, that's not right for me. And it does work with your mind as well, because obviously your mind changes so much. Like, our brains go from like 0 to 100 really quickly, don't they? So we never really know what we want as humans, do we? And it is a confusing thing, but what will be, and we will get where we want to be at some point in life, as long as we put in the groundwork, as long as we put in the effort. Things will come our way when we want it to, won't it?
Yeah, definitely agree.
So with just going back to quite a while ago, so with preparation, how do you prepare, say, the night before something like a big charity event you're doing, or before the night of the finals or anything like that? Like, do you have a routine? Or
I do with a pageant, but not. I feel like when I do charity events and things, as much as I'm an organised person, it always just seems to blow up in my face. Like, and it always works. It always works out in the end. Like, it'll always be good, and like everybody will go, "Oh, I didn't realise that one meant to happen," or "I didn't realise it one would say that like that." But like, yeah, before I'll think I'm really organised, I'll get everything packed, and like I'll make notes, I'll make lists and everything else. And then like you get there and it all hell breaks loose, and it's just like an absolute shambles. But you know, it is what it is. I've learned over time just to kind of go with the flow with that a little bit. As much as I'm not a go with the flow person, I just know that I just have to do that with charity events. So I don't really, apart from try to pre-plan and organise myself as much as possible, that well in anything, but particularly charity events. But with pageants, I'm quite strict, but it sort of starts for me like the week before a pageant. So I'll always like, you know, it's a lot of self-care stuff. It might be like I'll do a pamper night where I'll do all of my skincare, I'll dermaplane, I'll make sure my eyebrows are like they've probably been done, but if not, I'll tint them myself, and you know, get a nice bath and all that. I do all that kind of stuff. And obviously you go for all your spray tans and your nails, which I find really therapeutic anyway. It's so nice, isn't it? Like getting pampered. But then it's also things like I'll get your brain starts worrying about like, oh my God, have I done enough appearances, for example, or like, oh, somebody might raise more for charity. So for me, it's more like steadying my brain to kind of keep it channeled towards what I want to achieve, and stop worrying about how much I've done of anything, because at the end of the day, the week of the pageant, you know, you're not going to be able to cram any more appearances, you're not going to be able to do any more fundraising. So you might as well just accept it is what it is, put it to one side. So for me, it's like, might read a book on a night to switch myself off. I'm a massive advocate for, I do puzzle books, and it's so random. Everybody's like, you're such an old lady, but I absolutely love it. I do, like, I get in bed and I just sit there with my puzzle book. I don't know what it is. I think it's because like I just totally focus on that, and then I just get tired, and then I fall asleep, and I'm like, I had a really good sleep, so I was just so like switched off. But yeah, it's just doing things like that for me. And then like literally like the night before pageant, I'm really like specific about like what I eat and stuff, but that's because I suffer with IBS. So like I hate being bloated like for a pageant. So I'll try and like limit kind of how much carbs I'm going to have and things like that the night before. But yeah, it's just pre-plan. I mean, when I went to Atlantic, I took my best friend with me because I'd broken up with my partner at the time. So I was like, do you want to come down with me? And she couldn't believe how much stuff I got with me. Like I literally got like a car full of stuff, and she's like, you brought everything in the kitchen sink. There was like extension cables, ring lights, like you name it, like everything was in that car. But I just felt like I had everything, even if I didn't need to use it, it was good because I just felt so prepared that like if anything had failed,
than to take less. Like I took because I only decided to go to Miss Galaxy last year. I was only supposed to go on the Saturday, but I decided to go on the Thursday, like 2 days before. So I wasn't really very well prepared. So I kind of forgot to take like daytime outfits and things like that. And I was so stressed about it. So I will not be doing that again this year. I will. I'm a list person. I've got lists on my phone for everything that I need. Going away checklists and pageant checklists and whatnot. So I will be sticking to these checklists from now on. Like they're a godsend.
Yeah, they are, because I just think there's just so much to remember, especially like when you're there for like a weekend or whatever. Like, and I find like, you know, things come to me randomly like the week before, but like, oh, I haven't put that on my list. And whereas if you just do it like the day before or whatever, you're either going to forget something.
No, I completely agree. That's why I have like a permanent checklist on my phone, and then I can just edit it, you know, whenever I think, oh, I need to add that on for whatever event it is that I'm going to in 3 weeks' time or whatever. So yeah, checklists are definitely the way forward. I also have spreadsheets as well. So for Galaxy, I've got a spreadsheet which has got all my publicity appearances on it, all of my charity work on it, and then all of my outfits on it as well, so that every time I know that I've done an appearance, or I know that an appearance is coming up, I can put it on the spreadsheet. Every time I buy an outfit, take it off the spreadsheet, and then it's got totals on it as well, like how much I need to spend on a certain outfit or a certain appearance and whatnot. And that definitely helps me 100%. I know it sounds really geeky, but it massively helps.
I love it. Like, you're speaking to my soul. Like, I live in Excel as my job, so I have an Excel spreadsheet for everything. My I mean, I feel like this is definitely something in my career path. Like, I know a couple of people that have done this before, but when I was with my partner, we were engaged, and when we started to think about like the wedding and stuff, like I'd made a spreadsheet for the wedding, and he was just like, you are just something else. And I'm like, I just really, I like the thoroughness of things. I just like to see it all laid out, and like
you can
put
like
budget
you can search it and filter it down and things like that. It's I love Excel. I cannot tell you how much I love Excel.
Yeah, I just feel like, what would we do without Excel? Like, life would just not be the same, would it? But yeah, I'm the same. I do love a good Excel. But I'll tell you something else. Like, I got a pageant planner in my prize package for Atlantic, and I would really recommend that to people. Actually, like, as a finalist or as a queen,
a company or something like that.
Yeah,
Keep looking at them
for Atlantic. Yeah, and it's really good. I mean, I don't know. I think it's in the office, which is over there. So I'm not going to go get it. But yeah, it's really good. It's got like month by month. It's got like all these set pages, and it's got like a month view diary, so you can write in. Excuse me. You can write in your what you've got going on each day and sort of see it laid out for the month. You can put kind of like outfit plans, travel plans, and all things like that in it. And I found that really helpful, like, because as a queen, like, I'm literally like, I want to do as much as I can with my year. And the year's it's ticking by already, and you end up in a position where you just end in a position where you want to do so much stuff, but like, you know, there's always clashes, and like there'll be more than one event on one day, and it's like I can't be in Newcastle and be in London at the same time. So I need to decide like what's going where and stuff. So I find that like particularly helpful. And actually, I think I would buy another one definitely for if I did another competition even as a finalist. Just I think it'd be great for putting your appearances on there as well to track them.
I definitely think I'm going to get one, because they're responsive for quite a few of the pageant girl pageants as well.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
they look really, really good, to be fair. So I think I might get one, because I say I love lists and organisation and things like that. So I definitely think I will.
Yeah, definitely.
And just one last thing to ask you before we wrap up: what would be your advice to somebody who does suffer with mental health, but kind of strays away from doing big events and whatnot because they're worried that it's going to affect the mental health?
I would say I was that person once upon a time, when I've argued with myself in my head about the concept that I probably had anxiety for a lot longer than I've been diagnosed with anxiety, but I think I just didn't really in my head process it in that way. I kind of just brushed it under the carpet a little bit. But when I got diagnosed with IBS when I was a teenager, I struggled immensely at school with just basically going to school, because like I hated my condition. Like I felt so ashamed and embarrassed about it that I just didn't want to be in public. Like all I wanted to do was just be at home in my own space, like all of the time. And I'd shy away from anything. It's even like when I did my GCSE exams, I was in a separate room for everybody, because like my anxiety was just so bad that the thought of even going into like a sports hall with like 100 other kids was just like just a no-go for me. And like when I think about that versus how I am now, I still have IBS, but you know, I manage it as best I can, and I don't let it limit me in any way. Like I still do all the things I want to do. And I don't feel ashamed anymore. And in fairness, I do feel like there's a better culture around a lot of kind of conditions, not just with mental health, but, you know, from a health point of view. I mean, Dame Deborah James, who recently passed away, like I really followed her journey through having bowel cancer, not just obviously because I suffer with my IBS, and some of the things she talked about, obviously, you know, not what I suffer with, nowhere near cancer. I'm not saying that, but in terms of some of the symptoms and things, and I loved that she really raised a lot of awareness for poo. Like she was literally like dressed as a poo, and I just loved that. Like, and I could have done with that when I was like a teenager, because that the stigma of having like a bowel related issue, I guess, was a lot worse then. And now, like, I just feel like people like her have really brought it to the limelight. And I just feel like if you suffer with anything and or just anxiety, just put yourself out there, just but do it in little bits. I'd say, like, obviously don't go from not wanting to do a big event to just doing a big event, like, because that will set you into an absolute spin. But if you do things little by little, that's how I started doing it. It was like, for example, this, I would have never come and spoken about like my life or my IBS or anything like on a podcast, like, but I'd started doing it on small bits. I do one once a month, for example, and just build it up that way until I feel comfortable doing it. And then once you're at the other side of it, you almost look at it and you think, I can't believe that ever scared me. I can't believe that I have felt that anxious about it. And it's just, I think it's just one of those, it's and I talk about it a lot on my platform, like mindset is like such a huge part, I think, of anxiety, training your brain to think differently about situations.
That's amazing advice. Thank you so much for that, Alice. It's been really, really great having you on the show, because it's been great just kind of talking about self-care and things like that and how to look after your mental health. So thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, no problem.
If you are listening to this podcast on Spotify or YouTube, please give us a like, give us a rating, comment, and share with your friends, anything like that. As I say, you can listen to this through Spotify and YouTube. I'm hoping to get this on Apple Podcasts at some point as well. But thank you very, very much for listening, everybody, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you.